Hello everyone, I hope that you're doing well. In this video I'll be ranking the best legendary armor and equipment in Baldur's Gate 3 on a tier list. Now you may notice there's a lot of very rare armor here and not many legendaries. There's only 4 pieces of legendary armor in the game, with one of them being locked behind getting the deluxe version of the game, so I had to expand the definition of legendary a little bit here. So I selected some of the best armor sets that you can get that are very rare, as yeah, we don't have many to pick from. But the first one we'll be starting off with is the Bhaalist Armor. Now this is actually really crazy because it does more than what it says it does. So this gives you a 14 armor class plus your full dexterity modifier, so that's great on a rogue or an archer or anyone that's going to be getting in and dealing piercing damage, because this gives you the aura of murder. Enemies within 3 meters become vulnerable to piercing damage unless they're immune to it. Now I want to put a little asterisk here. It says unless they're immune to it. This also works on targets that are resistant or immune to it. So yes, it says unless, but no, it works on everybody. So this makes every single target take double piercing damage. There's not really much else in this game that can do that other than like applying water and getting double lightning or cold damage, or using Orin's Dagger. And using Orin's Dagger has to be in your main hand. When it's an offhand, it gives you a +1 armor class, which makes it really nice there. But this one just is super useful because you don't have to attack an enemy to get that vulnerability, and you can put this on a frontliner and make them run in. And then if you have archers, their arrows will be doing double damage. This is actually crazy. And it also gives you a +2 to initiative, which is very useful because this game only has a 1d4 die that's rolled for initiative. So if a target has no dexterity, the highest they can roll is a 4. So yeah, you get a +2 off the bat. Pretty crazy. So yeah, the Bhaalist Armor is honestly one of the best pieces of armor in the game, just due to the amount of offense that you can put out while using it. So the Bhaalist Armor is an easy S tier. You can be good aligned and get this. There is a kind of like a little glitch you can do where you can kind of steal it. It's unsure if it's actually meant to be done that way, but you can steal from the ghosts that you can get this from, or you can just be an evil character and get it that way as well. But yeah, that is a very useful piece of gear. It also looks pretty nice too and dies well. But the next piece of gear that we have is the Reaper's Embrace. So this is a piece of gear that you're pretty much very likely to get. Very heavy armor. It gives you the magical plate, which reduces all incoming damage by 2, which is nice. You can stack it with a few different abilities to reduce a lot of damage that you'll be taking. The Reaper's rigidity, so whenever activated, you cannot be moved against your will, but you have disadvantage on dexterity saving throws. That's not that great, because if you get hit with a fireball, having disadvantage means you're likely to get hit by every single fireball. It also gives you the Howl of the Dead, which led to a bone-chilling howl that numbs all nearby creatures. This is nice for a bonus action per short rest with a wisdom save. That's not too bad, but the best part about this would be the high armor class, so 19 AC, no bonus for your dexterity modifier. You do get this at the end of Act 2 going into Act 3, so that part about it's nice, but it's actually one of the weaker armor sets in the game due to it having just an okay ability there, and the Howl of the Dead you can do without. So the Reaper's Embrace, despite looking cool, I would have to say that this is probably one of the worst armor sets here. So I want to put it down into the C to D tier. Just getting disadvantage on dexterity saves is so bad. So yeah, we'll put it there. But next we got the Shar Armor, so the Dark Justiciar Half Blade. While obscured, the wearer has advantage on stealth checks. Nice. This is great for a stealthy character if you want to do a trickery domain. Not that I would recommend ever doing that. This is the best armor to do it with. When the wearer has Shield of Faith active, reduce all incoming damage by 2 and reflect damage back to the attacker, giving them a 1d4 of necrotic. Also kind of nice. Advantage on Constitution saving throw checks. That's a big one. So this here gives you that Shar's Aegis, which gives you that armor class +2. So you can boost that up, give yourself that, but you also get the Sharon Retribution, which reduces all incoming damage by 2 and deals that necrotic damage back to the attacker. So yeah, that is a concentration that you do have to hold to be able to get that, but it's a bonus action Aegis, so that's also nice. You can do this right at the start of combat, give yourself that bonus armor class, the attacks back at targets. It's pretty decent, but the big part here is that advantage on Constitution saving throw checks. You can get a +2 from your dexterity modifier as well. So this puts you, if you have 14 dexterity, that's going to be the same armor class as the Reaper's Embrace. And it also will reduce the all incoming damage by 2. It's the same effect there, but it also returns damage to the attacker. And that big one being the advantage on Constitution saving throw checks. So this one is a lot better than the Reaper's Armored there. So I'd have to say that this one goes to, it's not the absolute best compared to some of the others on this list. It's not bad. D tier. Advantage on Constitution saving throw checks is a huge benefit, so we're going to throw that there. There is other ways to get, obviously, the advantage on Constitution saving throw checks. You can take the Warcaster feat, or you can also go with the Constitution Amulet of Greater Health here. But Next, we got ourselves the Vest of Soul Rejuvenation. This is a really nice armor set you can buy from the Sorceress Sundries in Act 2, right as soon as you show up in the major city. This is the best in slot for a monk. So whenever the wearer succeeds in a saving throw against a spell, they regain 1d4 of health. That's cool. Also, when the wearer gets attacked and attack misses, you can make an unarmed attack at the target. And it gives you a +2 to armor class while counting as clothing. Now, where this becomes most useful, two things. Monks, who add their wisdom modifier to their armor class alongside the dexterity modifier. I also really like this on a barbarian, because a barbarian gets their constitution modifier. So if you have the Amulet of Greater Health, you get your 10 base AC +2, so 12, and then +6, so 18. And then you're getting all your dexterity modifier added to that as well, and then any other bonuses. So this can be extremely useful on a monk or a barbarian. Even on a wizard, if you don't have any other option, even though their unarmed strike from Gale is going to do literally nothing, it's fine. Getting that health back on saves is nice. There is a much better version for wizards here with the Robe of the Weave. We'll get to that in a moment. This is the best in slot for a monk and a contender for best in slot for the barbarian too. If you got both a barbarian and a monk, you could obviously go with some other options like the Bone Spike Garb. But I would have to say the Vest of Soul Rejuvenation is very solid. The free reaction attack is nice. Anytime you can weaponize your reaction, that's super useful. I don't think it brings it all the way up to the S tier. And if you're a monk, obviously it's S tier, but just the drawback being you have to be a monk or a barbarian to get the most out of this. So I can't throw that into the S tier, but if you are a big monk fan, don't hate me. It is S tier for monks. But next we got ourselves the Armour of Persistence. Now, this is for the good boys only, so they're good boys and girls only. You do have to keep Damon alive and go through all of that, but the armor you get is well worth it. This is a 20 armor class, reduces all incoming damage by 2, so right off the bat, looking better than the armor you get from Ketheric, but it gives you the legendary Persistence. You gain resistance, so 1d4 bonus to your saving throws, and you get Blade Ward, which takes half physical damage. Disadvantage on stealth checks, that's fine, that's expected with this. It's also some of the best looking armor in the game. Yeah, it looks incredible. It dies really well too. If you're using dye on it, it looks beautiful. So style points, but the big one being you get that nice resistance and blade ward. So half physical damage and 1d4 bonus to saving throws on armor. If you don't have if you have a healer that has, let's say, the reviving hands, that can apply a blade ward, but you don't have to even have that. This is just persisting with the Armour of Persistence. So yeah, this is a very good armor set. I would have to say it's quite possibly, I want to say it's S tier, but it's probably top of the A tier. Greatest on a fighter or any other character that's going to be using heavy armor, or be it a ranger or a really anyone that's going to rock the heavy armor. So yeah, I'd have to say it's top of the A tier to S tier. I don't want to balance this list around the S tier because a lot of these are very good. But yeah, we're putting that there. Now we got next the Wave Mother's Robe, which is one of my favorites in appearance. It looks awesome, but style isn't everything. So this gives you resistance to fire and cold damage. That in itself is very nice. However, cold damage, if you get wet, you then become, again, vulnerable to cold damage. You'll take double the cold damage. So that's something to keep in mind. When the wearer is standing on a water surface at the start of their turn, they heal for a 1d4 of healing, +1 armor class, and it gives you a free level 4 version of the Create Water spell. As you can notice, that's a huge amount of water being dropped down. So boom. Yeah, it's pretty good. Now, the thing is, we put out all the torches in camp. Whenever you use the that there, it'll turn invisible enemies visible, but you can get Create Water from being a cleric. There's a variety of different ways to get Create Water, so it's not game breaking or revolutionary. It also has that resistance to fire and cold damage, but you can also get resistance to fire damage with the Unwanted Masterwork Scale Mail, which adds your full dexterity modifier to your armor class as well. So for a very rare item, it's more so about the appearance, I would say. Yeah, legendary appearance, just fine in terms of its benefits. The armor class +1 is nice, but when you can get +2 from the Robe of the Weave and the many other benefits from the Robe of the Weave, it's hard to compete with the Wave Mother's Robe. So I like this armor, don't get me wrong. It's outclassed by a lot of other things, but hey, I'm just going to put it in the C tier. I love this armor though, so yeah, we're throwing it there. Next we have the Helldusk Armor. This is the one true legendary armor, chest piece armor in the game. So with this, the Helldusk Armor, you can cheese it and get it in Act 1, crazy enough. I wouldn't recommend doing that because it makes things a lot easier for you. 21 armor class, best armor class in the game. Nothing else giving you higher than 21 AC for an armor piece, so booyah, that's cool. You're considered proficient in this while wearing it. Now, my character is a sorcerer wizard. They don't have armor proficiency, but you can see they can still cast spells. The Infernal Retribution, when you succeed a saving throw, the caster receives burning for 3 turns. That's also nice, because we're likely to succeed a lot of them. You have resistance to fire damage, it cannot be burned, and you take 3 less damage from all sources. And you get the ability to fly. So it gives you a bonus action fly for 10 turns. That in itself's nice. The best thing about this is the highest armor class possible is given from this. But the other thing is, with this armor, yeah, you can give this to anybody, and they're going to make use of it. So that obviously is probably the most effective ability in this game. It's obviously like an S tier choice. Yeah, I actually think that, you know, we could actually keep this list a little bit more balanced by, I know it is probably an S tier choice. Yeah, I'm going to put it in the A tier. I still think the Bhaalist Armor is a better effect than this due to the action economy. Being able to double your damage is much more effective than reducing your damage by 3 and getting armor class. But giving it the free proficiency does take it up to, I guess, tier, I'd say. It's a tough one. The Armour of Persistence, I would even say, is better in a lot of situations, but I digress. I think it's worthy of that just because Gale can wear it. It is a wizard. That's cool. And next we got the Robe of the Weave. Speaking of Gale, so this is a very nice looking armor set, I must say. So you can see that there. That's with the Faerun colors tier die. So if you're wondering, tier works great on that. A lot of the colors do, but it looks cool. Elminster is also wearing one when you meet him. But the Robe of the Weave, 10 armor class plus 2 AC, so similar to the Vest of Soul Rejuvenation. However, it gives you a +1 to spell save DC and spell attack rolls, so boosting your spell casting. That's the equivalent of adding 2 points to your intelligence in terms of spell save DC, so that gets a thumbs up from Jay. Whenever the wearer succeeds on a saving throw against a spell, they regain 1d6 of healing, so even better than the Vest of Soul Rejuvenation, and it gives you a +2 to armor class. So yeah, this is probably the best in slot for a lot of casters. On top of that, you can also use this and then use Mage Armor, so that gives you a 13 armor class +2, so that takes that up to 15 before we're even talking about any Dexterity additions. And if you have a 20 Dexterity, that's 20 armor class without any other items involved, and then not even a shield, which you can get that up to 23, so you don't have to do a lot to get a lot of armor class. It looks cool too. I think this is the best armor for Gale too. So with that, it's a very solid piece of gear. I would have to say it's another S tier choice. I think the Vest of Soul Rejuvenation is a little bit better than it, because with the Vest of Soul Rejuvenation, you get that unarmed attack and you can weaponize your reaction, which is super useful. So yeah, it's still A tier. And next we got the Armour of Agility. Now this is actually one of my favorite armor pieces in the game, because it gives you a 17 armor class plus full dexterity modifier, so that can get you a 22 AC easily. And it gives you a +2 to your saving throws. It also has cool looking die, so if you use the AO die here from Faerun Colors, you get a very nice darked out armor set. Yeah, that looks nice. So with that, it's the best armor class for medium armor users. If you have a high AC, or if you have a high dexterity, it's actually going to be higher armor class than the Helldusk Armor, because you get to 22 with +5 from your dexterity, or if you even go your dexterity up to a +6, that's way higher than what you can get with the best armor in the game, the Helldusk Armor. So yeah, this armor is incredible. Yeah, saving to throw is +2 as well. Yeah, that's really good. We're throwing that up in the S tier. I wouldn't say it's good as the Bhaalist Armor, but it's close. And then the Helldusk Armor just slowly behind it as well. You can get a better armor class with it. This is the best armor class gear in the game, by the way. So yeah, that's good. Now we're moving on to other accessories. We got ourselves the shield and Viconia's Walking Fortress. This gives you a +3 to armor class. Already love it. When a foe hits you with a melee attack, you can use your reaction, dealing 2 to 8 force damage and knock it prone unless they succeed a dexterity saving throw. Extra force damage, always nice, not resisted often. And you get Spell Guard. You gain advantage on saving throws against spells. That's crazy. And spell attack rolls against you have disadvantage. So yeah, you can see you're not getting hit by many spells. It also gives you the Reflective Shell, so it'll reflect projectiles back to their point of origin, which is crazy. So you go with that and you get shot with something, it's not hitting you, so boom, you get disadvantage at a 1% chance. Projectile deflected, yeah, 1% hit chance. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. So that in itself, very useful. But yeah, it's the best shield in the game. What more can I say? Advantage when saving throws against spells. Spell attack rolls have disadvantage. It also gives you warding bond, so a lot of benefits to this piece of gear. And for that, I'm going to put it up in the S tier. I may even move the Helldusk Armor down to the A tier. Next, we got the Gloves of Soul Catching. Now, this is kind of a, I also put this on my best weapons tier list, but since this is one of the few legendary armors, I'm going to include it again because it's so useful. Now, you obviously have to save hope, so this is a little bit of a late game item, but best in slot for monks. So, unarmed attacks deal additional 1d10 of force damage. A flurry of blows, that means 2d10. That's a lot of damage. Soul Catching, once per turn on an unarmed hit, you regain 10 health points. That's also huge. Or you can forego that to get advantage on attack rolls and saving throws until the end of your next turn. Again, advantage on attack rolls and saving throws is very useful. Saving throws being massive because if you get hit with spells, you're going to succeed on a lot of them. Monks also have a benefit of getting the evasion spell, so if they succeed on a saving throw, they take no damage, whereas normally you still take damage from a save. So, huge. That also gives you a +2 to your constitution. This is the best in slot for a monk. If you're not a monk, the +2 to constitution is also kind of nice, but you're missing out on the two main benefits of it. So, yeah, it's specific to monks. I would love to put it in the S tier, but I feel like it's so limited in terms of its application. So I'll put it right there, right above the Vested Soul Rejuvenation. Kind of hard to rank these because it's a different gear. Comparing chest armor to hand armor is kind of tough, but yeah, super good on a monk. And next we got the Helm of Balduran. This is a little bit better because it's just so useful. I would have to say this lives up to the legend of Balduran. So heals you for 2 at the start of a turn. That's not the biggest thing, but if you have any other items, like if you had the Reviving Hands, when you heal a creature gets Blade Ward, you'd be giving yourself Blade Ward every turn. And if you have the Whispering Promise Ring, that'll also add the additional bless to yourself. So you can bless yourself and get resistance just from using this. It also gives you a +1 to armor class and saving throws. That's also nice. You can't be stunned, which is huge, although the Ball Cultist in Act 3 can still hit you with your stun. So that's something to keep in mind. But Stunning Strike from the Monk won't work, and Mind Blast from any type of Mind Flare, they don't hit you with a stun. So that's good because stun loses your turn. And attackers can't critically hit the wearer. That is also huge because if a target rolls a d20 or 20 on a d20, they hit you no matter what. This makes it so they can't critically hit you. That in itself is extremely useful. So the Helm of Balduran, it's going up there in the S tier. It lives up to the legendary name. Yeah, it's extremely useful. So we're throwing that there. Next we got, this isn't really legendary per se. It's rare, gold rare. I'm still going to include it because we're don't have that many legendary armors. First Blood, on hit, inflict bleeding upon targets that have maximum hit points. That's good, yeah. But there's a lot of other amulets like the Amulet of Greater Health. There's a lot of class specific amulets like the Sentient Amulet for monks, the additional Magic Missile, Periapta Wound Closure taking full healing, the Devout Amulet giving a +2 to spell save DC, and an additional Channel Divinity for monks or for any type of cleric. So yeah, there's a lot of really good amulets. It's got a lot of competition, and for that, it's not that great in all honesty. It's a quest item, that's why it's gold. But Amulet of Bhaal, I would probably have to say bleeding's nice if you have like if you got a wild beast heart barbarian. They can use the Wolverine aspect on bleeding targets to make them not get any movement speed, but it's not really that great in all things considered. We're gonna throw that in the C tier. And next we got ourselves the Disintegrating Night Walkers. Cannot be enwebbed, entangled, ensnared, and can't slip on grease or ice. And it gives you Misty Step. It's incredible. This is a piece of gear that can work on any martial class. A fighter can benefit from Misty Step. A barbarian can benefit from Misty Step. The big thing here is you can't slip on ice or grease as well. So if you have an ice-based team, your frontliner doesn't have to worry. So that is also really, really good. Disintegrating Nightwalkers, I'd have to put those, I'd have to say A tier to S tier. As far as boots go, this is Act 1, and it can do you the entire game. So yeah, I'll put it in the middle of the A tier. It's really, really good. Next, we got a very useful item, and it's useful for a variety of reasons. So this is why I'm including the Gloves of Dexterity. Sets the wearer's dexterity score to 18. Now, any item that gives you a set armor value or set stat value is very useful. The reason being, if you want to do a funky multi-class that uses 2 main casting stats, like if you want to use your charisma and your wisdom together, who's to tell you not to when you got the Gloves of Dexterity? Because this will allow you to dump your dex, put those points into another stat. Great on any multi-attribute dependent build. It's also great on any build general, because then you can boost up your constitution to 16 and your main spellcasting stat, and then still have a good amount of wisdom for saves or a good amount of strength, and many different stats can be saved by the gloves of dexterity. I do think that this is one of the best items in the game. Dexterity being the most valuable stat. Next, constitution is probably the most valuable because health is super important as a resource, but dexterity is also very important because it gives you armor class, it gives you initiative, it gives you ranged weapon attack rolls, and it gives you finesse weapon attack rolls. It does a lot. Dexterity is super useful. So, and the fact that you can get this in Act 1 just further cements it as the GOAT. So we're putting it up in the S tier. It's a purple rarity, but you can see it's got a yellowish glow to it. That's because it was supposed to be legendary in my mind, just because of how good it is. So yeah. And finally, we got ourselves the helmet that you get from the deluxe version of the game. Now, I can't find it in my inventory. I have no idea where I placed it, but I'll show you Beast's hat if you played Divinity Original Sin 2. This is another item that you can get from the from that. The bike owner seat doesn't really do anything, but with the Shapeshifter mask there, what this does, it gives you a free disguise self spell, so you can change yourself into Githyanki, use the Githyanki weapons. You can turn yourself into a drow, get a bunch of cool dialogue options. So that in itself obviously is very nice. It's a useful item. You can switch yourself over and unequip the item. Very useful. Yeah, it doesn't have any combat effectiveness, so I'll throw it. You know what? We'll put in the B tier just to make it balanced. So there we go. The Bhaalist Armor, best armor in the game, easily, because being able to double its piercing damage is super useful, especially if you have a rogue on the team. Their sneak attacks are going to hit very hard. The Armour of Agility gives you the highest armor class value in the game. Viconia's Walking Fortress, advantage on saving throws against spells is super good, and also getting disadvantage on the enemies getting disadvantage on their attack rolls for spells is also super useful. Helm of Balduran, can't be critically hit, can't be stunned, +1 armor class, and heal yourself. That's a lot. And the gloves of dexterity. Enough said. Dexterity being one of the most important stats, being able to dump it and still have an 18 dex at Act 1 is crazy. And then the Helldusk Armor, it could also be an S tier choice, gives you free proficiency, and no other armor really does that. I guess there's one other armor, the Elven Armor, but this is a much higher armor class. Armour of Persistence, super, very good. Blade Ward and the Resistance is super useful. Disintegrating Nightwalkers could also be, this could be an S tier item actually, just because that Misty Step is so beneficial and can slip on Greaser Ice. Gloves of Soul Catching, best in slot for a monk. And same thing here, Vest of Soul Rejuvenation, best in slot for a monk, possibly best in slot for a barbarian. Robe of the Weave, probably best in slot for a wizard, a sorcerer, you name it. And then all the rest. We have a lot of really good items here, so obviously this is going to skew to the top heavy. But if we were to look at some more armor pieces, like if we had really any of the other purple ones, like the Flame Enameled, that's like C to D tier. The monk armors are good as well. Adamantine Scale Mail Armor, I was thinking about including this one. This would be a high A tier as well because of how early you get it and how beneficial it is. Roman Supreme Defense is an okay item. Like, a lot of these are good. The Potent Robe is another really good item. Cantrip Seal, additional damage equal to your Charisma modifier. So yeah, there's a lot of items in this game. I couldn't cover every single one of them, but I just wanted to cover some of the best items in the game. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I want to turn that hat off. It looks a little silly. Hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all in the next video. Let me know what kind of content you want to see next.